Welcome to DU Digimon.
Hello and welcome to DU Digimon. I've got something a little different for you this time around. If you're familiar with our channel, you may recognise that you've got somebody a little different behind the camera. My name is Alex. You may have heard from me in a couple of our other videos. I've got a couple of profiles up already. It would be really great if you could pop outside and have a look at some of the videos we've got for you. And if you are a fan of the content you see, please give us a like and subscribe and hit us up in the comments and let us know what you're thinking about some of the cards we're choosing to play today. I want to show you the Machinedramon deck that I've been giving a go for the majority of BT15. It's one of my favourite decks. I've loved this deck ever since EX1, so I'm going to show you what I've been playing. I may go over a couple of changes that I would recommend. There are some expensive options and cards in this deck, and we'll address those shortly. Straight away, we'll go into the eggs. There's not really too many for the black base eggs I'd recommend, so we are just going with the BT7 Doraemon, just 4 copies. Unfortunately, the other eggs that you can run are a bit more reactive, things like the Pabumon with an on-deletion, the ST15 Koromon, I'm not a big fan of. This one, at least, you can trigger quicker, because it's a your turn, to when you put a source beneath one of your Digimon, draw a card, which does happen with quite a few of our Digimon we'll show you shortly. Moving on to the level 3s, alongside the Doraemon, it wouldn't make sense otherwise, we're going with BT7 Dorumon. The on-play you don't really get a chance to use unless you really want to try and dig for that Machinedramon X, but it's the inheritable of your turn. When you place a Digivolution card under this, gain 1 memory. As I said, you do have a couple of cards in this deck that allow you to do that, whether that's in the level 5s, you've got a couple of level 6s that can do the same, but you've also got some Mind Link plays that we'll go over very soon that will allow you to gain memory back as well. We don't play many level 3s in the Machinedramon deck. It is a very heavy level 5 deck. So alongside these 4 level 3s, we've got 3 Hagurumons, purely for the on-play of trashing a card with Machine or Cyborg, draw 2 cards. You just need to be able to, if you've got level 5 in your hand that you don't plan on digivolving into, or you've got 2 and you only need the 1, trash 1, get them ready to be played with your Machinedramons and Chaosdramons later, and get yourself 2 more cards that you can use instead. That is all the level 3s we play. Moving on to the 4s, I'm really sorry to have to break it to you, but if you really want this deck to succeed, you will need some rather expensive Raremons. I'm playing 3 myself. I found 4. You don't need the 4th copy in the late game, but I play 3 so I can get it a little earlier. It only being a 4 cost level 4 means that I can afford to avoid playing a 3 to digivolve into a 4 for the total of 5, and just drop 4. Just drop 4. Get the on-play to trash a card, any card, to draw 2. Means you can get rid of a duplicate level 6 that you don't need, means you can drop a Tamer if you don't need them later on. Whatever you just need, get you that cycle. Because on this deck, unfortunately, I'm not playing trainings, I'm not playing memory boosts, purely because they do clash with a couple of mono colours that aren't black. So we're having to stick with the 3 of these and 3 of Hagurumon to really get our draws in. Alongside Raremon, I do play only 2 copies of Tankmon from BT2. But Tankmon's there because it's a cyborg. Now that you've got more and more effects that synergize with the machine and cyborg traits, we really want to make sure that we've got some 4s that go alongside it. The Raremon's great for that because it does have the effect of it's treated as cyborg as well as undead, and then we've got Tankmon for a cheap 1-cost Digivolution. This essentially has just replaced the Numamon that you might have seen played in years prior. And before we pass on to the 4s, the other level 4 I'm playing, has not seen in all decks, but I'm giving it a go, I really like it, is Machinedramon BT15. With the on-play effect, and when digivolving, to place a Marvin Jackson from your hand beneath it to de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. Now, de-digivolve is one of my favourite keywords in the game. It's very aggressive and it's very fun, and to be able to get a de-digivolve really quickly, I think is going to be prevalent to basically tackling some of the other matchups you may have. Unfortunately, we are going into a format very soon where you've got Digimon such as Magnamon X, which will be immune for a whole turn to such effects. But regardless, in other matchups, you may find just like armor, bunny armors, Rapamon X, that's also going to be a big deck. Being able to go like, no, I can see you've got a blocker, I'll de-digivolve you, get rid of your armor purging blocker, reduce you, and you have got other effects to delete some smaller items as well. The other reason I play it is because I also like the reboot. We are not playing the new Hagurumon because unfortunately I do find it's a bit lacking. You do get to look at the top 3 cards to add a Cyborg Machine or a Black Tamer. But there are some Tamers in this deck and some options you can run a Machinedramon overall that it would whiff on. Although I do like that those level 3s had reboot. Instead, I'm running Airdramon, so I can get reboot a little earlier as well. I'll try not to waste too much time on some of these effects and explanations. Some of you may be returning Machinedramon players, and a lot of these are older cards, so you may already be familiar with them as we go. Moving on to the 5s, probably one of the strongest cards in the deck now is BT15 Machinedramon, with the effect to essentially, when you play it or Digivolve, look at the top 3, and among them, the Machine Cyborgs or Socks, you get to place one beneath, place one in your hand, and place one in the trash. So of 3 cards, you can decide nearly every single time you use the effect, no, I'll pop that in the trash because I'll use it later. I need the Machinedramon that I've seen, and I'll place an inheritable beneath this, which also means you're stacking cards beneath it, same as Airdramon, to also trigger your Doraemon to get yourself a draw, but you're also triggering the Dorumon once per turn, so you can gain back some memory as well, just to make it a little bit cheaper. Alongside Megadramon, before I forget, as I said, I won't try to go into it too much, but one of my favourite keywords is on this of inheritable when attacking D-Digivolve 1. I love D-Digivolve, it's great, and it's also got the when attacking to delete a 3-cost Digimon or Tamer. Tamer Hate is so good. This is one of the few decks that does have it, and so I'm glad that we've got this additional Megadramon from BT9 that is also, when Digivolving, delete a 3-cost Tamer or Digimon. The inheritable is nearly the same so long as you're a machine or Dragonkin to delete a 3-cost Tamer or Digimon. We also have Megadramon, and we also have, I think that's all my Megadramons. But yeah, so we've also got EX1 Megadramon for the on-play effects. You don't really trigger, but it deletes 2 3-cost or lowers. But it's the inheritable to, if you're a machine, to get security attack +1. And then I run this one Megadramon. This is a flexible spot. You can swap this out for anything else to gain 2000 DP. You may be thinking that 2000 DP isn't all too much, but that is why we've also got another Digimon to give us a bit more of a DP boost as well. Moving from the Megadramons to the Metal Greymons, we're also making sure we get ourselves another 3k DP boost inheritable. There we go. So this Digimon gains 3k. If you get that with the Megadramon, that's an additional 5k, really giving yourself that chance to run over some Digimon. How are you running over your Digimon? Well, that's where we also go into our BT8 Metal Greymons. On top of the when Digivolving to D-Digivolve 1 and delete a 3k or lower, the inheritable, if you're a machine, allows you to attack unsuspended Digimon. That pairs really well with the inheritable of EX1 Metal Greymon. So if you're a machine, gain piercing. So you swing into something that your opponent didn't think you could, and then you get to hit security as well. How are you able to do so? Because you've got big DP, and then you've also got security attack +1 again. The inheritable of the ST15 is just security attack +1, but it's also, on this Metal Greymon, it is a blocker, which can come up. Sometimes you just need to have another blocker out. And speaking of, we've got one more blocker just in case of Metal Greymon EX4. It is a blocker and it has the inheritable blocker. You don't use the when Digivolving effect on this one because that does relate to the Greymon Garurumon Alter S deck. You just want blocker. We do have various other level 5s that do provide the same inheritable, but you also want to make sure you're running as many different card numbers as possible so that you have more variety to stack under an EX1 Machinedramon on-play effect. I also just really like the old school Metal Greymon, just that hunched over, like decaying, original Metal Greymon. I don't care what you say. It is the original one. It came first. He's blue. He's better. Orange one's all right, but I prefer the blue one. Now, for the last of our level 5s, we have one each of Metal Mamimon, EX1 and Andramon EX1 as well. They have the same when Digivolving effect to reveal the top 3, add a level 6 card with machine in its traits, and then you just trash the rest. Now, it doesn't come up all too often because unfortunately you only run 10 level 6s in this, but it does give you the chance to also trash level 5s, which is good. The searching isn't nearly as good as other cards we have now, which is why we do have Megadramon up 2 instead of like 1 copies that I've seen some Japanese lists running. But we also run them for the inheritables. Opponent's turn, this gains blocker for the machine. It's another blocker inheritable because you won't always have analog man to redirect. It's good to make sure you've at least got blocker, because if you can get an early Machinedramon, if you're an 11, 12k blocker, it does slow down your opponent. The other one is Metal Mamimon. This one is one of your most flexible spots. If you've got, actually I really like Metal Tyrannomon from EX1, play it, absolutely play it. If you'd rather have a keyword inheritable, absolutely crack on and play it. But I really like the when attacking for your machine to delete a 5-cost lower Digimon, or less. It means that if your opponent's left a level 4 on the board, you can swing over it and pop it before they go, actually, Magna Angemon Ace, or no, I've got Rapidmon Armor, no, I'm going to go into Mega Gargomon Ace because I hate that interaction. I love it because I play it, but I hate it. It means that you are able to get a couple of deletions ready before your swings connect into your security or opponent's Digimon. But if you're not a fan, if you find it just doesn't come up as live, sorry, that's a dirty sleeve. I need to give these some new oversleeves. They absolutely give this one a swap. As I said, Metal Tyrannomon from EX1 is a good replacement as well for the reboot, especially alongside something giving you blocker, because you want to be able to swing, pass, reboot, and you're still a block alive, analog man alive, get yourself a couple of blocks. At the time being, I am also running one more Angemon from ST15. When Digivolving Digivolve 1, I'm a big fan of that keyword. I really love it, but it's also a reboot. So I actually just removed Metal Tyrannomon EX1 for this one because I found I didn't need that searching nearly as often, and I'd rather keep the inheritable keyword. So I just ran this one instead because I'd rather at least affect my opponent a little bit more. We've got more options in our Digivolving to hinder the opponent a little bit more with this build. And finally, I'm running one copy of ST17 Rapidmon. This one's great because it was also an on-play as well, which does work with a new option that we got in BT15 too. But it's, again, Digivolve 1, you don't get the effect of some protection if you've got Green Tamer. We're not running a Green Tamers in this, but the inheritable of when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, trash the top card of their security. This is a direct replacement for Metal Tyrannomon BT11. I want to say it was the green-black Metal Tyrannomon with the same inheritable, but the when Digivolving on play of that Metal Tyrannomon was to suspend your opponent's Digimon. I'm trialing Rapidmon. I really like Rapidmon. I really like this one. But again, I may opt to actually get rid of this chance inheritable for another, of the same. If something gets deleted, trash security, a bit more aggressive, and instead of potentially searching but whiffing and trashing a lot of cards, the other Metal Tyrannomon, you can suspend some Digimon, and I believe they don't unsuspend for the next turn. I'll have to double check that one. But that is all the level 5s we play. It is very level 5 heavy. That is the deck. I did go through a phase of using about 12 level 5s, but there were some instances where I was like, turn 3, turn 4, play EX1 Machinedramon. I didn't have nearly as many options in nearly as much variety in the trash I'd like. This one probably doesn't need as much explanation. Going into the level 6s, we have EX1 Machinedramon. It is the daddy, it is the deck, it is one of my favorite cards. I'm so glad that we're at a point in this game where even such EX1 cards haven't been power crept. They've made it so newer cards work alongside it, work with it, as you'll see in Chaosdramon X. If you aren't aware, you get the on-play to place up to 5 red or black cards with Cyborg in their traits. Level 5 red or black cards with Cyborg in their traits under it from your hand or trash, and for each one you place, you then get to get that memory back. So while you do have to have 12 in order to play it, you will gain 5 back, and with some other cards, you will also reduce that play cost. So you only need to have 9, get 5 back, so overall it costs you 4. It's so good. The all turns effect is going to be very helpful very soon as well. It has been anyway, but we're getting a lot more DP reduction in our game. So having the all turns, you can't have your DP reduced, is great. It is really, really good. So if you are swinging into a Heaven's Judgment, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. Nothing is touching you. If you trigger a Rapidmon Armor to reduce your DP when you swing, no, you're absolutely fine. Don't have to worry about that. And as you'll notice with a lot of the Machinedramon and Chaosdramons, you've got some sort of protection effect. So this one is the first Machinedramon protection effect we got to trash 2 level 5 Digimon beneath it to prevent it from being deleted. Now that is only protection from deletion. But we do have an improvement of that same effect coming up very soon. Before we move on to Chaosdramon, the last Machinedramons I'm running are the BT11 Machinedramons. This one I'm not as big a fan of anymore. Having a level 6 Searcher is lame. It's a real shame. You can just play it and reveal the top 5. You've got Analog Man out, then you can redirect and do some things there. But it's really lame. It's really lame. I wish that the new Machinedramon for Dark Masters would allow you to Digivolve on top of it, but you can't. I'll have to double check that. I think you can't go into a white Digimon. I'll have to double check that. Point is, it's not as good, but we still do get a chance to Digivolve up to reveal the top 5, add an Analog Man among them, but you can also add a Cyborg Machine trait among them or place it underneath. So that is also going to trigger your Doraemons, your Doremon, get 1 back. So you can have a cheaper Digivolution into Machinedramon, but what's really fun is the on deletion. So by placing 1 Analog in play, at the bottom of your deck, you can play another Machinedramon out for free, and this is your prime target. Because if you do this in your opponent's turn, play this, effect to put the sources beneath it, gain a memory for each, you can potentially pass turn. It doesn't come up nearly as often because if you've got this out with Analog Man, it's really obvious what's going to happen. But it can come up, and what's great as well is you can actually get this on deletion another way. And I'll go over that in just a moment. You've before the final cards though, before we get to that big, I say big, there's another way to get the on deletion. It's not a surprise, but it's really fun when it does come up. But before that is Chaosdramon EX3. This one also has the on play and when digivolving, so it's an upgrade from Machinedramon, but it only places 3 red or black level 5s with Cyborg and their trait beneath it. But at least you get to de-digivolve 1 when your opponent's Digimon for each place of this effect. So that again is a lot more de-digivolve hates. It's really good. I really like being able to go like, I'm going to be a bigger Digimon regardless because I'll make you smaller. Is very fun, but you have an upgraded protection effect instead of just stopping yourself from being deleted, you can also prevent yourself from being returned to the hand or deck. It does mean that the best way to get rid of a Machinedramon Chaosdramon stack is things like Chaos Degradation, which puts you into security, but this deck's not going to be perfect. You can't have a huge stack wall in the game like we've got in Machinedramon X, but it is what it is. This one I really like. It's one of my favorite cards. It is red-black, so I don't know if you can use that with red cards. You won't. But the final level 6 for the deck, which really, if you get the stack perfect, it provides a huge threat for your opponent, is Chaosdramon X Antibody. I only run the 2 copies because you don't gain anything from it in your first hand. You really only get the most out of this by having the Machinedramon, Chaosdramon X stack. Not to say that you can't just digivolve a Machinedramon into Chaosdramon, but the more you put beneath it, the more effects you gain. Because of the all turns effect, to say that it gets the effects of all Machinedramon and Chaosdramon in its stack. Which means that when you digivolve into this, you've instantly got Chaosdramon's when digivolving effect. So when you digivolve, you get a when digivolving effect again to place another 3 beneath it, de-digivolve 1 for each one placed. If you happen to have gone BT11 Machinedramon into Chaosdramon X, you also get the reveal 5, add an Analog Man, put another piece beneath you, trash the rest. It also means that you get to keep that on deletion from the BT11 as well. So if all this time your opponent's just been looking down this stack and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger because of the start of main phase to place another Cyber Machine beneath it, and your opponent finally gets rid of it, if they delete it somehow, you get the on deletion. Because even though you are being deleted and you're technically going, at the time of deletion, you have the effect from Machinedramon to say, by the way, put Analog Man at the bottom of your deck, play out another Machinedramon, in your turn, pass it back to me. It's really fun. It's really, really fun. If your opponent does get into a habit of trying to delete it just to strip your sources, once per turn, when this would be deleted, trash the top of your opponent's security. It's just saying like, by the way, I'm here, I'm going to be a problem, try and get rid of me, and I'll bring you down with me. It's so fun. I love this deck, I love the support, and I'm really looking forward to getting the alt art from, well, we don't know when we're getting it just yet, but there is an alt art due to come out for this one very soon. There's a little thing about that though, I do really like that one. Moving on from the Digimon, we've got the options of the deck. Not too many, because really you do need to make the room for your level 5s. For the few options we have, we've got Supreme Connection from BT15. Reveal the top 5 of your deck to add 1 such card of Machine or Cyborg among them, trash 1 such card, and put the rest on the top of the deck. No, it doesn't bottom them, so it allows you to at least see your next card you're going to get, but it does mean that you can search for a Machinedramon, a Chaosdramon. It means you can search for an Hagurumon. It means you can also trash a level 5 among them. You're like, oh, I don't want to draw into that, pop that in the trash, I'll grab that later. But the delay effect's really, really, really cool as well, allowing you to play a level 5 or higher Machine or Cyborg for the cost reduced by 3. So that EX1 Machinedramon goes from a 12 to a 9, regain the 5, cost you 4. And that's really, really nice. The other one is if you need to, you can just use this, reduce the cost of Rapidmon ST17, get a de-digivolve and pass. You can then also use it for Megadramon, which has also got the on-play to look at the top 3, put a source beneath it, 1 in your hand, trash the other. It's a really cool card. I'm only running it at 3 because, again, late game doesn't do anything, and I'm quite cautious of 4-ofs unless they're like level 3s in other decks. But in this deck, I think 3 is just fine. I am only running 2 of Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon though. This one's cool, but again, you don't want to see it in your first hand. You want this as of like turn 3 if you're really on that position to be able to create a pseudo Blitz Omni for the deck, because you only get the Blitz on essentially any level 6 cyber machines you play gain rush and on play, if this has a Digivolution card, Blitz. So it only works if you're playing a Machinedramon EX1, Chaosdramon, or no, not Megadramon, because it has to be level 6. But yeah, on those ones. So you have to be able to have an on-play, put some sources, choose your order of effects properly to on-play, put sources underneath it, gain, and then on-play Blitz. Because it doesn't gain Blitz, it says on-play Blitz. Which means you're at that point activating it, you're swinging. That's it for the options. I'm not playing any Black Memory Boosts. I'm not playing any defense trainings, because I found it of the trainings and the boosts. You probably play the memory boost first, because you've got options and on plays that you really need that memory for in some tight situations. You do Digivolve a bit, but I think being able to just go, I'll play 3 now to get a dig and add a Digimon, and on the next turn I can play my Supreme Connection for essentially 1 less, because you'll gain back the 2, play this, and it just gives you a bit more variety. If you do have to do a hard play as well, like hard play your Raremon to get yourself some turbo, sometimes the memory boost is going to be the better one. I've opted out of it just because it's really tight on space. Moving on to our Tamers, I only run the 2 Analog Man. Same reasoning, is I don't need this late game. You do want it ASAP, but I really hate that it's a full cost Tamer. I really hate that they didn't even make BT11 Machinedramon play it for free. So many decks have a card that allow you to play a Tamer, and this one just doesn't. You can opt to use Mamemon, which is an on-play when Digivolving, to look at the top 5 of your deck and play a Tamer. Again, not a machine or cyborg though, so I'm not running it. This is great. It is great. You only need the 1 copy out at a time. Trash a level 5 cyborg in your hand to gain a memory and draw 1, but you don't always have a level 5 cyborg. Sometimes it's difficult and you've only got like your 3s, your 4s, and a 6. This one requires level 5. But when this is on the board, it's saying, like, by the way, I'm going to be gaining memory, drawing more, and my Machinedramon I've got, I will make you attack it. But as we saw with the Airdramon, I am also playing Marvin Jackson. That is 1, 2, and 3. This one, similar to Analog Man, is start main phase, trash a card, machine, or cyborg, or sock to gain one memory. So it's 1 less. Only costs you 3 memory. It does mean that I can trash Hagurumons I don't need anymore. It means I've got an additional Machinedramon in my hand that I don't need, level 5s I don't need. Maybe I've got a Raremon in hand that's just not really going to work anymore. I can trash it, gain 1 memory, and I've got the chance to Mind Link as well, which means that if you use Airdramon, if you use any of your smaller Digimon, you can pop this underneath it, gain 1, from Doraemon and Dorumon, because you are placing a card underneath your Digimon into the sources. And if you're a Machine Cyborg or Sock, you gain Jamming and Blocker. And so being able to just go like, no, my small little Hagurumon is going to hit you for 1 check, is what it is. End of the turn, pop this back out, so that way it's not getting deleted. I really like Marvin. I'm giving it a go, and if you find that it just doesn't work for you, take out the Edgemons, take out the Marvin Jacksons. I think at least 2 Marvins are pretty cool, because I'm more likely to pay 3 for a Tamer than 4. But that's me. But the final Tamer, the final piece, you may have seen it some other builds. It works really well with this deck, is Matt Ishida from ST16. He's not a black Tamer, he is a purple Tamer, which the colour's not really relevant, because we're not running Hagurumons to search out black Tamers anymore anyway. We have got more draw power with some of our earlier cards you've seen, but it is a memory Tamer, so at the start of a turn, if you've got 2 or less, you go to 3. But all turns, when one of your effects trashes a card in your hand, suspend this to gain 1. So if you've got Analog Man out, trash level 5, gain 1 memory, draw 1. You trash a card, gain another 1. If you had Marvin Jackson, trash another card, gain another 1. So that is, you're on 3, you gain another 1, so that's 4, gain another 1, that's 5, gain another 1, that's 6. If you do happen to get them all out, you're starting with 6 every time that you can afford to trash 2 different cards. It also means that you're live on your Hagurumons. So essentially Hagurumon only costs you 2 instead of 3. It means that your Raremons only cost you 3 instead of 4. It's just really, really nice. I like Matt. I don't think I'll bump it up. I'll tell you, if you don't think Marvin works for you, but you really want to make sure Matt's more live, maybe go 2-2-2. If you don't like Marvin Jackson, you might even consider going up to 3 Analog Mans and 2 Matt Ishidas. If you find that this one's just not your thing, you don't like the Airdramon, and it's just another black Tamer that isn't quite as reactive as Analog Man is, give them a go. As I said, this deck has got a lot of variety. No 2 Machinedramon decks are the same. And this is what I'm enjoying at the moment. That is everything from this deck. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you've got any suggestions or anything that you're playing instead of maybe the mats that I've shown you, what are you running instead of Ramon if you're not able to get hold of Ramons, because unfortunately that card really does need a reprint. Let me know in the comments. And again, give us a like and a subscribe if you're a fan of the channel, or if you just want to see more of us. Thanks very much, and keep it digital.